So, James Charles' attempt at converting straight men is embarrassing by Mori. Let's get into it.
Alright, so some recent text messages that were leaked about James Charles have recently arisen on Twitter. And as we all know, James Charles' history of kind of messing with straight guys who were some of them minors actually, around the ages of 17, 16, and some being around 18 has been publicized to the internet. I don't know what it is about the guy. I guess he just has a
He's a
very strong
weirdo.
libido. And for some reason, gay guys just don't do it for him anymore. Maybe gay guys, they're just a little bit too soft and feminine for him, so he has to try and sneak his way into the arms of, well, straight men like me, because I guess it's just a fantasy of his to try and turn straight men into what he is, which would kind of defeat the purpose of his objective. But in any case, according to this man by the name of Tommy Gabriel, who is apparently a commentator for TMZ Live, he tweeted this out saying, "Shockingly, James Charles is back at flirting and making straight men uncomfortable. The alleged screenshots reveal the quote-unquote benefits of being his boyfriend." And I assure you, for everybody listening to this video right now, it's gonna be very cringe. I saw the text and they made me uncomfortable. However, Tommy goes on to say, in one text, James says, and I quote, "It's a really lucrative role." James used Instagram's vanish mode to attempt to prevent a leak. And clearly, James Charles is just not the sharpest tool in the shed.
Hold up. Hold up. We're always learning, man. Always learning. Producing a great deal of profit. Okay. Good to know. Good to know.
Because how many times has his text messages or videos been leaked to the internet? It's like at this point in time, these quote-unquote leaked videos and text messages have to be a part of some kind of script to gain him relevance again.
Yeah, there's no way that everybody you're texting is just leaking you out all the time. Like for this to happen this many times, it's like there has to be something behind it. Either you're texting all of the wrong people, or you've made all this up. One of
It
the
has
two.
to be some kind of ploy to run his numbers back up again, because
Yeah.
otherwise, he might really just have some form of brain damage. But in any case, based on these Instagram DMs that were leaked to TikTok by this
I'm not reading all that. I'm sorry.
TikTok influencer guy by the name of
He'll probably
Stoughton.
read it
Dude
for
looks
us
like he
anyway.
works out. He's a fit guy, and it's obvious that he's into lifting weights. And maybe for James, the gay men around him are just not into this kind of stuff. So, despite this young man actually being straight and not gay, it doesn't matter to James Charles because he's gonna try and get what he wants. And upon
That's just
finding
so
this guy's
weird.
Instagram page, James decided to slide into his DMs by saying, and this happened in vanish mode. He said, and I quote, "It's a really lucrative role. It's called My Boyfriend. Requirements: you gotta be 6'2" plus, must love escape rooms, horror movies, and cuddling, big armpit hair, and an occasional FaceTime call. The salary is $0, but it's a good job offer, I think. Perks include a cute boyfriend with a great personality and a huge ass, free living in a $10 million house in LA, fun travel opportunities, good head, and more." So
Hey, that last it wasn't that bad. No, I'm joking. But no, that's weird. I just can't imagine getting that text. Oh my gosh. But that last dude though, might have to. No, I'm joking. No, I'm actually joking.
already, James Charles is just going balls to the wall. He does not care. He's just laying it all out there. And honestly, this just seems super desperate. He didn't even try
Yeah.
and do any kind of foreplay, any teasing. He just went straight in there with no lube. But what I do find odd is the fact that one of his requirements is armpit
I didn't
hair.
even realize that.
Everything
That
else
is
in this
weird. What
list
the
is
heck?
kind of normal for today's standards, as everybody is delusional about what they want in the dating markets. The old
Yeah.
big 6'2", must love escape rooms, horror movies, and cuddling. Like, all three of those combined, what are the odds of you finding that in one person? I mean, the dating market is not a Build-A-Bear workshop. You can't just walk up in there and pick the kind of characteristics you want. Ooh, I'll have that one. Let me take that one and add this on top too. Like, nah, it don't work like that. You find a person, you connect with them.
Sorry.
They may have a feature
Oh,
you
don't
like
bring
and
back
some
this
other
video.
qualities you may not like. You work it out and move on.
That
But
video
clearly
is so
here,
awkward.
James Charles is probably not looking for love, but some kind of buddy, aka a boy toy. And based on what he says he has to offer is a $10 million mansion in LA, a cute boyfriend.
Hey, like I said, read it again. It's not a bad deal. That is not a bad deal. That's all I'm saying. Nah, I'm joking. I'm gonna keep doing that.
Something about him having a great personality and a huge ass, and we all already know that that is because he got a BBL sometime last year. And also, you can't forget about the
Oh,
travel opportunities and the quote unquote good head. Like, I'm sure he's had plenty of times to practice his head game on foreign objects in his home or on unwilling straight men in the past, but I'm just only speculating. I'm only theorizing. James Charles, if you ever see this video, please don't sue me. But it gets even worse because James Charles, after that slew of requirements, decides to send that young man a video in his DMs by saying this.
If I be like, oh my god, David, you're annoying, over text, right? You don't know if I'm saying like, oh my god, David, you're being annoying. Or like, oh my god, David, you're being annoying. Or like, oh my god, David, you're being fucking annoying. Because all three of those are completely different like emotions that you cannot see through text. You only get to actually experience those through a FaceTime call or through being in person. Even over the phone, you still miss out on things because you're missing somebody's facial expressions, right? So because you refuse to hang out with people or because you refuse to FaceTime, you're not allowing people to actually get to know you as like a human being. And that's a massive, massive problem whenever it comes to being in a relationship with somebody. You cannot fall in love with somebody simply just from text.
So I'm sure you guys are just as confused as I am
yeah.
when listening to that video. Honestly, James tends to go on rants that seem super incoherent and make no sense. But to clear it up, based on what Tommy said, he said James attempts to convince David, which is the TikToker, to FaceTime him. David also alleges that James sent him 2 illicit photos after David declined to send a selfie to James. And I would not be surprised if James was out here sending dick pics to straight men. Like, that does not seem out of the realm of possibility for someone like James. Tommy also proceeded to say that James messages David on TikTok to quote unquote age check him. And I'm not entirely sure what that means. Like, how can you check somebody's age on TikTok? Is that something that people do? Like, are people's ages on TikTok for everyone to see? Is that public info? I'm not entirely sure, but
Nah,
it
that's
would
for
seem kind of
Instagram.
strange for people's personal info to be out there like that. But then he says after the check, they then decide to move to Instagram vanish mode. And at this point, everybody and their mothers and grandmas know that James is gay. We all know that he's about as straight as an old man with arthritis and scoliosis. So why then, after checking on David's age on TikTok, would David then proceed to entertain James Charles? And knowing that James Charles is gay, would he then proceed to entertain James Charles's advances onto him? I don't know. Maybe just like in the past, he just wanted to do this for content to try and make a name for himself, you know,
Yeah,
to
probably.
pretend as if he was actually interested in James, pretending to be gay temporarily to try and, you know, make himself relevant, to grow his followers and his views, to try and lead James on, and then pretend to expose him in the end as if James was actually trying to come onto him knowing that he was straight. Again, I'm just speculating, but like
Yeah. Just speculations, but hey, they will be doing that. That happens a lot. It happens a lot. And it's like, yeah, it's just weird. It's just weird. It happens a lot.
said before, this wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility for people on TikTok trying to make a name for themselves. But
Oh my goodness.
Complete your application to Wright State University
Oh,
by
bro, I'm not going to this stupid
February
college,
1st
man.
and go to the front of the line for financial.
But in the following screenshots, Tommy, the commentator for TMZ Live, says David has a text conversation with a friend saying what similar articles about his past with guys are what is happening to him. And then in the screenshot, you can see David, the TikToker, is messaging a friend of his named Aaron. Aaron said the message from him at the top, straight to hell. It's safe to assume that David obviously texted a screenshot of his communications with James Charles to this Aaron. David then responded back by saying, it's funny, everything I read about the article is all stuff he said. And then Aaron said, he doesn't stop. And then David said, yeah, he messaged me, damn. Well, have a good night then, David. So to clarify, because he didn't put this in quotes, David is saying that James Charles messaged him saying, damn, well, have a good night then, David, because David probably just rejected him, told him he was straight and that he was not interested. And then Aaron responded back by saying, Imagine you sent him the article, and I'm not entirely sure what article they're talking about, but you know, James Charles has been in and out of drama for many years, and many articles have been written about him, so we can assume they're talking about a past article that has been written about him in situations like this, trying to flirt and talk to straight men. But then in the next tweet, Tommy from TMZ Live said, James knew he was straight in his vanished video he sent to David, attempting to make David feel wrong for saying, and I quote, no to a FaceTime or meeting in person. So now with that clarification in mind, what James was trying to allude to in this video that he sent to David over Instagram probably makes a lot more sense.
You don't know if I'm saying like, oh my god, David, you're being annoying. Or like, oh my god, David, you're being annoying. Or like, oh my god, David, you're being annoying.
So I guess he was trying to guilt trip David into FaceTiming him, because over text you can't really pick up on the emotions of people like you would over a FaceTime or a actual live call. If the dude didn't want to FaceTime you, you can't really force someone to communicate with you like that if they're just not interested or not comfortable. So with James, I guess, trying to pressure this guy into FaceTiming him because he wants to get to know him better after maybe being subtly rejected or picking up on signs of him just not being interested, is kind of weird, man. Just leave him alone. Like, it really ain't that deep. But in the next tweet, it said, James is getting allegedly jealous over the girl that David follows on Instagram. James mentions his body count and said to David, and I quote, I just lost my competition with her, LOL. And in the screenshots, we can see that James said, I'm trying to see which of my friends are also staying here. Also, who's Irina Ponte? Ha 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 ha. So honored to be half of the people you follow. But then David goes on to reply back with, ha 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 ha. She's a girl I'm texting. I find it hard to find people that are actually interesting.
Just saying ha 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 ha, to me, I don't know. Like, you could do it, doesn't matter, but it just seems weird. Like, there's an emoji for that, you know? Instead of saying, oh, what, 7? Putting all 7 letters down there, just put the emoji. Like, I feel like that's kind of a sign, like, yeah, just stop texting me. I don't know, that's just me.
To talk to. Then James says, wow, my competition, eh? I'm cuter. And then David goes on to say, LOL, you guys are both great. James then says, ouch. And keep in mind, this man is straight, and apparently James knew that he was straight, but then continues to flirt with him. But I do find it odd that a quote-unquote straight guy is giving heart likes to James's messages.
Yeah.
But after James said, ouch, this alleged straight man, because I don't know, man, at this point it's looking kind of sus, he said, I only met her yesterday through a dating app. And James said, oh my god, and you already followed her? Bro, crying emoji times 2. So I guess people think that following somebody simply means that you want to them. Is that where we are in society today? Like, if I follow a girl on IG, on Twitter, does that automatically mean that I want to sleep with her? Like, this is definitely terminally online behavior. Holy shit. But in this next screenshot, James decided to message David in vanish mode by saying, I'm gonna be so real with you. I just lost my competition with her, LOL. If you count actual, my body count is like 4, but I don't even know how many guys I've hooked up with. And in this moment right now, as I'm reading this, I am completely confused. If you say your body count is 4, right? Because I guess you've counted it, but you say you don't know how many guys you've hooked up with, doesn't that just completely contradict itself?
Yeah.
Unless you're just hooking up with people and just kissing them all night, which would just be like pointless. But then again, there are people out there who consider giving head and taking it up the, can't say it on YouTube, not a part of a body count. But I'm here to set the record straight, and I'm here to tell you that that is a part of your body count too, even if it's just a half a point. It is a part of your body count. Do not sit here and tell me that you're still a virgin. Meanwhile, you've sucked 1,000 different. Like, nah. At that point, you might as well have become a star. But I digress. After that screenshot, James decided to message David in vanish mode again by saying, go f yourself, David. So at this point, James was not getting what he wanted from David. You know, his love and affection, I guess. The flirtatious vibes that he was projecting onto David were not being reciprocated. And here is a short clip of a video that James sent to David after the fact.
Obviously, being that you are straight, I would assume that you don't know a lot about like the gay community.
So it cut off before James could finish what he was gonna say about this man being straight. But yeah, it's looking like James Charles is still out here in panic mode, still trying to flirt with straight guys. And I mean, he's a grown man, and this man is a grown man that he was talking to. So it's really not that serious since it doesn't involve minors this time. But clearly, this David guy was entertaining James for clout or potential content for his TikTok page, which is a smart business move, I guess, if you want to
Yeah.
grow your numbers. But then again, James Charles is still a human being, and although he definitely had an idea that this man was straight, I just think it's getting kind of played out, trying to lead and entertain James Charles, knowing full well that you're not a gay man and that he's obviously messaging you for a specific reason, and it's not because he wants to know what your workout routine is. However, I do want to know your thoughts and opinions down below. What do you think about the situation? Personally, I don't think it's that serious. Two adults playing around with each other. It is what it is. But do leave your feedback down below. Like the video.
Yeah, I mean, they can do what they do. I just feel like why? Like, if you're gay and you want the dude, why go for a straight male? It's like you're adding a challenge to yourself. I don't know. Like he says, I digress. But seriously, end of the day, it's whatever. They can do what they want. They're both grown. It's just weird. It's a weird situation in total.